Did you know that the average American consumes roughly 17 teaspoons of sugar per day? That's almost triple the recommended daily intake. And sugar is just one of the many culprits we'll be discussing today. Today's topic is something that might surprise you. We're talking about 8 everyday foods that should be banned, mostly due to their negative impact on the environment and human health. So sit back, grab a snack, preferably a healthy one, and get ready to learn about some surprising foods that may not be as innocent as they seem. Let's begin. Number 1. Sugary treats. For those who have a sweet tooth, it may come as a shock that the sugary treats we love so much may have a serious negative impact on the environment. The cultivation of sugarcane and sugar beet usually requires vast amounts of land, often leading to the destruction of habitats that are home to a diverse range of plant, animal, and insect species. This destruction of biodiversity can have a devastating impact on the environment, disrupting delicate ecosystems and contributing to the loss of natural habitats. Apart from environmental effects, excessive sugar consumption is also considered bad for health. Many commercial products that come with extraordinarily high amounts of added sugar, such as sodas, donuts, pastries, cookies, etc., have seemingly done more harm and almost no good. As we continue to see a rise in diabetes and obesity, it's becoming increasingly clear that our current levels of sugar consumption are simply not healthy. However, we should be mindful of our sugar intake and consider alternative sweeteners that have less of an impact on the environment and our health. By making small changes in our diets, we can help to reduce our impact on the planet and create a more sustainable future for generations to come. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. If you find our videos helpful, please support us by becoming a patron. Number 2. Chocolate. First of all, we are not enemies of chocolate, especially dark chocolate, one that contains at least 70% cocoa. First, let's see what is the environmental impact of chocolate. It's not just candy that we need to worry about when it comes to our sweet cravings. Even chocolate may be negatively affecting our environment. The Theobroma cacao tree, the plant from which chocolate is derived, is a complex crop that grows only in specific areas, around equatorial forests. As the demand for chocolate has skyrocketed in recent years, small-scale producers have abandoned their traditional crops to plant cacao, resulting in the deforestation of lands and the destruction of equatorial forests. Furthermore, the chocolate we often consume has usually undergone multiple processes, such as fermentation, the addition of vegetable fats, extra sugar, and emulsifiers like soy lecithin. These processes not only significantly increase the environmental impact of chocolate production, but also make them very unhealthy, especially for people who love to enjoy it too much. To avoid the bad effects of unhealthy chocolates on our health, it's best to reduce their intake and go for healthier varieties, ones that contain the least amounts of sugar and 70% cocoa. Number 3. Coffee. Coffee, much like chocolate, has a similar story when it comes to its impact on the environment. It is generally grown in areas with sensitive forests and ecosystems that are rich in biodiversity. In theory, coffee should be grown under the shade of trees, but to make intensive production simpler, a large portion of coffee is grown in full light, leading to deforestation, pesticide use, water usage, and soil erosion. According to a study conducted in 2014, coffee production today is at its worst in terms of environmental impact. However, there are ways to improve this dire situation. For example, coffee-producing companies can opt for shade-grown coffee that is certified as bird-friendly, or sustainably grown coffee that is certified as Rainforest Alliance. These certifications ensure that the coffee is produced in a way that is mindful of the environment and helps to protect local biodiversity. Moreover, by choosing to brew coffee at home using sustainably sourced beans, we can significantly reduce the environmental impact of our coffee consumption. Number 4. Industrial meat. Out of many everyday foods that should be banned, processed and red meats seem to be at top of the list. The production of processed meat and beef is linked to deforestation and the release of greenhouse gases, especially methane. Out of all types of meat, beef and lamb have been observed to cause the highest environmental impact. If you want to choose a more environmentally friendly meat option, consider buying from small farms, where animals are raised outdoors and fed on pasture. This can help to reduce the negative impact of meat production on the environment. As for its negative health impact, research has linked the consumption of processed and red meats with an increased risk of several chronic diseases, including cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and many types of cancer. In addition, high levels of saturated fat and cholesterol in industrial meat products can contribute to the development of heart disease and other health problems. Number 5. Soybeans. You may not believe us when we say that soybeans are one of the everyday foods that should be banned. Let's see why. Soybeans are a major crop worldwide, with an annual production of 330 million tons. About 150 million tons of soybeans are used to make soybean oil, the most widely used oil globally, with an annual consumption of 30 million tons. The remaining soybeans are usually utilized to feed livestock or make various soy-based foods like tofu and soybean shoots. However, soybean oil production contributes to deforestation and relies mainly on heavy industrial processes that use large quantities of chemical solvents like hexane. These processes emit greenhouse gases and various forms of air and environmental pollution. Waste from oil production is also used to feed livestock, which increases gastric methane emissions, particularly in cattle. As for their effects on human health, soybean oil is more prone to oxidation, which can lead to the production of harmful free radicals in the body that can damage cells and contribute to the development of chronic diseases. Some studies have suggested that consuming large amounts of soybean oil may be associated with an increased risk of certain health problems, such as obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. So if you love yourself and your environment, it's best to go for more environmentally friendly and health-friendly alternatives to soybean oil like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil. Number 6. Mineral water. Mineral water is often seen as a healthy and natural drink, and especially French people seem to love it, purchasing around 5.5 billion bottles per year. However, the environmental impact of the plastic bottles in which the water is sold is very concerning. It takes about 3 liters of water and 11 fluid ounces of fuel to produce a single 1-liter bottle. Annually, 50 billion bottles of water are sold worldwide, resulting in an estimated 17 million barrels of fuel burned, equivalent to the yearly gasoline consumption of 1 million cars. Sadly, 80% of plastic bottles sold globally are not recycled and end up polluting natural environments, including oceans. Countless bottles contain toxic residues, and studies indicate that bottled water has often more contaminants than tap water, even in developed countries. This ecological disaster could be easily avoided, at least in areas with healthy and treated running water. Number 7. Seafood. Seafood, particularly salmon, is a food to avoid if you want to be eco-friendly. Farmed salmon is especially problematic, requiring 3 kilograms of wild fish to produce just 1 kilogram of salmon, and loading the water with antibiotics and certain chemicals. Bluefin tuna is another endangered species to avoid, along with certain types of halibut, cod, sole, sea bream, and grouper. Number 8. Cereal crops. Cereal crops are not as eco-friendly as they may seem. Rice, for instance, requires a significant amount of water to grow, with an estimated 3,400 liters of water to produce just 1 kilogram of rice. Moreover, rice fields release large amounts of methane, with rice production accounting for 100 million tons of methane emissions annually, maybe even more than emissions from livestock. Genetically modified corn is also becoming a cause for concern, as its effects on plant biodiversity and pollinators are not yet fully understood. It seems hard to say anything about limiting the cultivation of rice. But genetically modified crops, especially GMO'd corn, seems to be one of the everyday foods that should be banned. Thank you for watching and subscribing to the channel. See you in the next video.